I think the actual ending to the show is discovering that Dexter hasn't actually killed himself, that he's found a punishment even worse than that. The one thing throughout the series that he has longed for more than anything has been human contact, and he has given himself a life where he completely denies himself that. Michael C. Hall is always involved in major creative decisions. It was important to go to him first, very early on, to make sure it made sense to him. As far as how we would end the show, we discussed all possibilities, but for several years, this was exactly the direction we were heading. We certainly wanted the audience to believe there might be a potential that he might live happily ever after, but that was never our thought as writers. It would have felt uncomfortable to do a show about a serial killer where he gets to walk off into the sunset. Just makes you wonder what kind of message you're sending out there, and it just didn't feel natural to the character.
For so long, all I wanted was to be like other people, to feel what they felt. But now that I do, I just wanted to stop.
Dexter's Achilles heel was his desire to be human and his desire to be like other people, and that was more fully realized in the relationship with his son and his relationship with Hannah. In the final moments of the show, he is so close to becoming fully realized, becoming fully human, which is why he makes the ultimate decision to sort of sacrifice himself for those that he loves. The one thing that he's always wanted most, he can almost have, but yet he can't. It's his humanity that keeps him from becoming human. The most humane thing he's actually ever done in the series is probably disappear.
I just want to tell you one last time that I love you.
I love you too.
I want you to remember that every single day until I see you again. Daddy loves you.
Dexter has gotten away with almost everything for 8 years. He's actually been responsible for the deaths of innocent people, but yet it certainly didn't change his behavior in any way. And then after Rita's death, he clubs the man that he meets in a restroom, and we're sort of okay with that because we don't like that guy. And Dexter certainly doesn't express any regret over that innocent man. And then certainly the death of LaGuardia, and it felt like it would just take something as important and as personal as the loss of Deb. He mentions in the pilot, if I could love anyone, it would be my sister. We wanted him to have to kill the one person that has meant the most to him throughout his life. Taking Deb out to sea and burying her in that way, it is the only way he's ever been comfortable with death. The one and only time we ever see Dexter cry is when he is on the boat holding Deb's body. And I think he feels that he is as responsible for her death as for any other, and it just feels the natural thing to do. I don't think we ever considered having Dexter kill himself because no matter what, he is still this sort of psychopathic survivor. I mean, if you wanted, Dexter could have simply turned himself in at the end. He could have actually killed himself, but he doesn't, which also says something about him and makes you kind of wonder, is he going to live to kill another day? Just how human did he really become in order to make that decision? There's a certain side of it that's a very humane thing. He's trying to protect Hannah and trying to protect his son, but there could have been other ways of doing that as well. So there's still that part of Dexter that is never gonna quite give up and walk away. We had been very selective and very secretive about who the script went out to, so most of the copies that went out had so many scenes excised that people were unaware of what was going to happen to Deb and unaware of what was going to happen to Dexter. So for most of the people at the table read, this was the first time they were hearing most of the stories. You could look around and see in a lot of people's faces that, you know, these were their final scenes and they were sort of affected by it. Shooting the final episode, there's always a certain sadness to it because anytime, you know, one of your characters finishes the final scene, then, you know, that's it for them. And so it's like every couple days you would be saying goodbye to another very important member of the cast until it just kept dwindling down until all that's left was Michael. What was interesting for me was that in some of those final scenes, Michael brought more emotion to the character than he had ever brought to Dexter before, and I think it's very effective because you actually do see the human side of Dexter for some of the very first time.
I destroy everyone I love. And I can't let that happen to Hannah, to Harrison. I have to protect them from me.
Ideally, I would still like for the audience to feel conflicted about Dexter. They like him, but have to absolutely condemn what he's done. And it's a difficult place to be, in a way, to know that they've done some horribly evil things. The future of Dexter is something we leave purposely vague. We don't show him killing. I think he's living a very penitent life at the moment, but what exactly that means, I don't know. It seems like he's certainly given up his humanity, and if so, you have to ask yourself what's left. I'm absolutely expecting mixed reactions from the fans. Some people will like it, and I know some people hate it. Some people think Dexter might be capable of living happily ever after, and some think, no, he needs to be punished, but yet we don't really do either of those. We sort of land in some sort of strange otherworld with Dexter. There's a moment in the pilot in which he is dealing with someone who has killed little children, and he forces him to look at their bodies and says, open your eyes and see what you've done. And that's where Dexter comes to in this final episode, is that he is finally opening his eyes and seeing what he has done. It's a full evolution of finally looking at himself with clear eyes.